And we are live. Good morning. What's up, everybody? How you guys doing? So we are exactly 10 minutes out from the opening bell. Good morning, good morning. We had U.S. initial jobless claims and U.S. GDP quarter-over-quarter final come in. Jobless claims came in pretty much right at the forecast. Forecast was 225K, came in at 224K. And U.S. GDP quarter-over-quarter final forecast was 2.3, came in at 2.4, so can't complain. Things are going all right in the U.S. as usual. So, how we doing? We are 9.5 minutes out, and I'm excited for today. Volatility picked up a little bit yesterday. Still not exactly what we're looking for, but we're coming in down about 1/3%. Honestly, I know I said this quite a few times yesterday. We didn't really get it, but I would love to see a continued big old dump off here. If you look here, we're getting a bit of a gap overnight coming down into the 20Ks. So if we could honestly, guys, if we could see us push down into the 19,000s, I'd be happy with that. Again, when it's us against, the investors, I pick us, the traders. So the investors will get what they want regardless. But, we need volatility. So, and of course, as traders, we're going to have long-term stuff too, but that stuff can wait. The trading is now, so hopefully we get some additional volatility. It looks like we may end up getting that here today. Again, the range on these bars lately has been cringeworthy. It's been so low, but we've managed to have, what do we have? We had a small green day yesterday. We had an equivalent small green day, Tuesday. And we'll see what we can do here today and tomorrow to finish out the week. So what's up, guys? How you feeling? I know a lot of you guys were trading evals. Are you guys funded now? Or are we still trading the evals here today? It's been a couple of days. Sometimes, depending on the firm, evals take 5+ days. So as far as news here on the stream that we're gonna see, really nothing. We have, 1 o'clock here, Central Time. Trump is going to sign some executive orders. And then a couple of Fed speakers, but not until after the market closes, 3:30. So we'll see what we get here. I don't care what happens as long as we get some big ranges. Big old dump off, fine. Big pump. If the volatility's there, fine. But a lot of times with big upside moves, they're grindy. Volatility can collapse. Downside moves, that volatility tends to open up as people start to make some more emotional decisions. And it's usually, honestly, a little easier to find an edge when the market's dumping if you use wide ratios, because that volatility really skyrockets and people start making bad decisions, which opens us up to find some edge here. 4 new 300K evals. Okay, got to hit that 20K take profit, or profit target, with a $7,500 trailing drawdown. Make it happen. Dale, good work. Chris, we'll be trading funded at open, then work on some evals I got with code BIG. There's my guy. Good work, Chris. Yesterday. Yeah, Apex is still 80% off. I just got an email that's going to end here midnight on the 31st. So you have a few days. Probably about time to get started now if you're going to take advantage of 80% off at Apex. 6 minutes out. We got a clean slate today. Tomorrow, by the way, is PCE. That's going to hit an hour before the market opens. So that'll be hitting right before we get on stream here tomorrow to round out the week. PCE is definitely gonna cause some volatility. Not like CPI, and not like it did 2 years ago. You know, because it's inflation data. It's basically the Fed's gauge of inflation, PCE, whereas CPI is more like the headline read. PCE is really what the Fed's looking at, kind of like core PCE is really what the Fed's paying attention to. But that was more relevant, 2-3 years ago, but it's still going to cause some volatility. So that'll be a nice shake-up here tomorrow to get that number. Again, this morning, if you're just popping in, we got initial jobless claims and U.S. GDP quarter over quarter. Both looked okay. See if we can get this continued downside here into the open. 5 minutes. If we look at the 5 minute, pretty much all night here, we've had this bottom right ahead of 20K. Yeah, I mean, yesterday evening at the open, we saw a test, a bit of a bounce. I think we give up 20K here today. I hope we give up 20K. Light a fire. Get some people moving. Everyone's a little too comfortable, I think. Volatility's crazy low. So let's get a breakdown into the 19.9s minimum. Let's see what we can get here today. I think we're going to have to see a test below 20 at least at some point here. We're just teetering on that edge. Market's usually not cool with testing something like this, 3-4 times and then never getting below it. It's not satisfactory. Usually. You can see anything though. Don't listen to me. Hey, Jose, it happens to all of us. Do it again. That's all you can do. What are you going to do, quit? Yeah, that is something to consider. Chris, here, look at the daily. This gap down here, again, I know a lot of people were talking back on, I guess, Tuesday, that, are we going to get this gap filled today? Again, gaps have no obligation to fill today or this week, but it looks like we're attempting that fill, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if we saw a test of at least 19,960. But that's so close that, if we didn't get a test of that, volatility is probably very low and we have bigger problems. But I would love to see a test, honestly, of these lows down here at some point here in the next week. I think that would light the fire that we need, I think. Everyone got a little too comfortable right around 20K. All right, about 2 minutes out here from the open. Again, I'm going to let that open clear for a few minutes, and then we'll start seeing if market presents us with anything good, anything we can take. Man, a test of 20K right off the open. That's going to make for an interesting bell. Again, if you're just joining us, we have a clean slate now that we got those two numbers as far as news today, which is fine. I mean, you don't have to worry about anything if you're trading a prop that doesn't, like Take Profit Trader. I'm a big fan of them as well. They don't want you to trade specific news events. There's nothing today. You don't have to worry about that today. Apex, you don't have to worry about news at all. But then tomorrow morning we get PCE. The nice thing about PCE is that it comes out pre-market. So if you're someone who trades after the opening bell anyway, you get that fire lit with a little bit of news, and then you don't have to worry about it from there. You get the University of Michigan sentiment final read tomorrow, 30 minutes after the market opens. For the Michigan number, there's two numbers that come out. There's a preliminary read and the final read. I believe they're 2 weeks apart, if I remember correctly. The preliminary is usually a bigger event. You get more volatility because it's the first look at the number. The final is the revised number, and usually it's pretty similar because they usually get the preliminary pretty damn close. So the final is usually like that second hit of like, oh, okay, so they were right the first time. Whereas preliminary is more like the first look causes more volatility, but I don't know if Take Profit Trader is going to stop us from trading the Michigan number. We'll see. But that's tomorrow at 9 o'clock Central. Today, though, nothing to worry about as far as news. That's already behind us. Came out at 7:30. All right, 10 seconds. Let's see what we get at the bell here. This bell is usually, at least the last 2-3 days, a lot of chop and a lot of indecisiveness out of the market. Hopefully we can get it flushed down through 20, at least at some point today. There it is. There's the bell. Here we go. Here's the test of 20K. You're going to get buyers right ahead of 20K. We just have to clear all their orders and then see if we can get a dip below. You're also probably going to get stops right below 20K for longer duration trades that people have on bulls. And then probably some stop limit entries for shorts. So usually when you break downside through a number like 20K, or upside for that matter, in the opposite direction, you're going to get a bit more of a push once that liquidity clears. Then direction is a lot more up in the air. But for now, let's see what this market decides to do here right off the open. Well, we've gotten in. We got within about 2 points off the open of the futures market yesterday evening. We just got within 4 points, man. These really close tests. It's tempting fate. All right, here's that attempt at the bounce. Testing that 20 on the 2 and the 20 on the 5 for that matter. A couple things going on. Big old bounce here. I don't want to see that, man. We hang out above 20K all day. That's going to let people get a little too comfortable, I think. And right now, what do we need? Volatility. We need fear. We need something to get people to make some decisions. Start moving this market. Quicksilver, what's up, brother? Eric, how you doing? Welcome back. Now, some of you guys I see in the chat every single day. I recognize so many of you already. This is only, what, the fifth stream? Fifth stream? All right, well, for your sake, let's see if we get that break at 20. There's the test. There's the big old test at 20K. Again, you're going to get some buyers right ahead of it, but let's see if we can clear those orders. There is the break. Come on, now hold. I would love to see this break hold. Now, when you're talking a number like 20K, guys, you know, you can bounce around it for a few minutes for sure, maybe even 30 minutes, an hour. But when I say I want to see this thing hold, I mean like today. I would love to close quite a bit lower here today just to get people talking, just to keep people moving and shaking, making some emotional decision making, getting some capitulation going, something to wake this market up. It's been asleep for a few days. Been able to make some money, but not posting big numbers by any means. Couple like $1,200 days yesterday, the day before. All right, see if we get that retest to 20. That's probably going to be necessary as these bulls hold on to hope. There's the size to 20. Get the bears stepping in here, man. That's a wick I like to see. Look at that. Now, some of you guys might be wondering, well, why does he want it? Why does he want it to go down so bad? If you have traded through, some of you guys who haven't been trading for all that long, I mean, you're lucky that you might not have seen this before. But if you've been trading for, at this point, probably 5 years or more, then you've lived through sideways markets, and you know you would never wish that on anybody. The best way when a market's going sideways for a week or so to get people moving is to dump that thing. The VIX tends to skyrocket when that occurs because that stares up elevator down mentality. People make faster, dumber, worse decisions and leave some openings for edge when you're getting big dump offs in the market. And you know what? The investors tend to get what they want long-term either way, so we all win. All right, there we go. Rejecting back off that retest to 20,000. Got the retest like we talked about and rejected hard. See if we can really hold that. You know, 30 points down below 20K is nothing so far. What I really want to see here, so I'm looking at a 2-minute chart. What I would love to see here is a second bear bar on the 2-minute top right of the charts that you're looking at right now. A second bear bar closing near its low, and then a retest of the open of that bar. That scenario, I would enter a short. Well, range so far here, I know some of you guys are wondering. We're creeping up toward 30, mid to high 20s on the ATR. Okay, that's not, you know, I think it was similar around this time yesterday. It might actually been a little bit higher. Oftentimes what you'll see this time of day is that at, you know, maybe double what it currently is at. So if you're wondering why I'm so volatility hungry, there you go. 25 ATR off the open on the Nasdaq sure is tight. But once we get more data, if the volatility holds up and we backfill those 10 bars, those are 2-minute bars, with after the open bars, then that ATR can creep up. Okay, because part of the calculation there are still the pre-market bars, right? We're going back 20 minutes. Only been open for 10. Okay, there's a little doji, and now we're attempting that low. If we can get this bear bar closing near the low, and then a retest of the, I'd say the top half, if we get that, ideally the open of that bear bar closing near the low, that's a short entry for me here. That's a couple things that need to occur. There we go, breaking through to the low a little bit. If we can get down to the 19.8s, all of a sudden I think you get some forced acceptance out of some bulls. Doesn't necessarily mean you see some big trend day. Trend days are rare, right? Betting on them, if you're gonna do so early, you're gonna wanna have big reward to risk because the actual probability of trend days is low. But for the sake of volatility, if we can get down into the 19.8s, I think that'll help us out. Well, we're getting consecutive bear bars, but they're weakening. I don't want to see that. I want to see some strong bear bars. See these dojis back to back to back? Trying to make a decision here. The market is, that is. Here's how the 5-minute looks. Now this is where you get those dojis, right? These back-to-back here. Look up top. You get these back-to-back dojis, and now we're getting a bull bar closing near its high. This is an attempt at a reversal, but we're closing near this wick. Okay, probability here is not great, in my experience. Relatively close to 51.49. Because you're going counter trend. Though any bull betting on a reversal here is going very much so counter trend. It doesn't mean they're going to be wrong. It just means the probability is not 55-45, which is what we're after. There you go, getting the push. Second retest of 20K. Now, if we were to get like this bar closes in 10 seconds, right? Near the high, right ahead of 20K. And then we get a bar breaking through 20K and the 20 on the 5 minute and the 2 minute. And that third consecutive bull bar were to close near its high. All of a sudden, we have a big attempt at a reversal on our hands. Then really what you're looking at is that high off or coming into the open. That's really what's left at that point. But I expect at least a little bit of hang up here at the 20. It's not incredibly relevant, but then we also, remember, have the 20 on the 5. It's popular. A lot of people watch it. The 2 minutes slightly less. But that 20K number really is what everyone's paying attention to right now. Now's the opportunity for the bears to really disappoint these bulls. A little bit of a doji. That candle's a little indecisive here. But you get that retest of the 20K number. You get a big rejection and a break downside through the previous wick. All of a sudden, a whole lot of bulls get stopped. And they hold off, most likely. At least for a few minutes. All right, here's a third retest, 20. Now you have to be aware that if you look at this, What the bulls are really trying to do right now is form an aggressive ascending channel. Right? I mean, here. There's only a couple touch points, so it's not going to be respected by everybody yet. It's not obvious enough. Algorithms probably don't really see this yet. And now is the attempt of the break. Okay. That right there is why just taking a short off of 20K because it's 20K is a ridiculous idea. If it was that obvious of an idea, I think this is what a lot of people miss about probabilities in trading. Listen, if shorting off 20K was such a great idea, why the hell would we be testing 20K? Futures are efficient enough that if, hey, oh, it's so obvious, I'll just short off 20,000, right? Huge level. Why are we making such an aggressive move upside to test it? That's people buying. Right? Why would you have so many buyers from 19,990 up through 20K if it was so obvious? Trading is more nuanced than everybody likes to believe. John, good work. All right, now we gotta wait to see what the price action tells us here about this break. You have one bull bar closing near its high, a little bit wicky. Volatility's creeping up though, that's good. We're getting about a 30 ATR. That's decent to see this time of day. It's nowhere near the average. Normally what you'd see is 40 to 60 on that ATR. But 30's better, you know, it's better than what we had Tuesday. Or sorry, I guess Tuesday and Monday. Looks like we're going to see another retest of 20K, at least downside on that 20 EMA. Now you look at the 5-minute and the 2-minute, they're conflicting. So on the 2-minute, everyone's like, oh, that 20 EMA is support, let me buy. Okay, but look at the 5-minute, which arguably more people are watching. Some people are going to have that 20 on the 5. Probably the most popular EMA on the 5-minute chart. And that's showing resistance. And really what everyone cares right now about is the price action around 20K. And you can see here, if you look at the price action, just trading 20K as a level, oh, if we're above it, 20K is support, right? If, oh, we're below it, 20K is resistance. So far off the open today has not worked well. Too simple of an idea. The market is, it's deeper than that. There's a big push. What's going on there? Did we just get a headline? Nothing coming through the wire yet. It's a big old push, huh? That's good. That's good. That's a 56 range bar. Wow. Now, the candle after this one means a lot. Because we're kind of trying to engulf this whole move. I mean, look at the 5-minute. So this 2-minute bar here closes in 20 seconds. The one that follows this is, I think, more important than just the big bull bar. See what I mean? You get those sellers stepping in. Now, when you're trying to read price action on futures especially, this is a very specific, I'd say, to futures. That big green bar that we saw, right? This closing the way it did, believe it or not, says a lot, gives us a lot different information than had it closed up here at 20,090, because it's not, this isn't like some TA voodoo magic bullshit, whatever. What does that tell us? It tells us that we got a big push, and then in this case, toward the end of the bar, we wicked down and closed. Now, the close of the bar is arbitrary. It's just a mark of time. But it tells us that sellers stepped in after we got a big bull push. Bulls either pulled out, sellers stayed the same, or bulls stayed similar, sellers came in, or you had both happen at the same time. So now you get a close somewhat off the high, still relatively strong. But the rollover now changes because the buy-sell balance at the time of the close is now different than it was toward the high of the bar. The sellers are a little bit stronger compared to what you saw at the peak of that bar when we got the close. So the close is only relevant not because it's the close of a bar. That's arbitrary. It's relevant because the close is the most recent information that we have on what the market is telling us as far as buy-sell balance. There you go, Chris. 2K in funded accounts. Now let's get those evals funded. How many accounts are you running with what firm? So we got that bear doji. That was an important couple of minutes. 2 to 4 minutes. There's a 5. As far as headlines here, we're really only getting statements out of Mexico, statements out of France. We just got pending home sales. That's not going to move things too much. Maybe just a little bit here. It's not really a major headline here as far as market volatility, at least right now. And yeah, headlines out of from President of France, President of Mexico. It's not going to move things too much. So we are clear as far as news pretty much all day, at least until 1 o'clock Central, when Trump starts signing those executive orders. All right, here's the test of 20,100, which also, if you look at the 5 here, it's kind of a level that we saw pre-market. So something to pay attention to. But really, I'm more interested in how that price action reacts. A lot of dojis here, man. A lot of dojis. What does that tell us, right? Market can't make a decision here. Again, I'd really love to see us, crash out down into the 19.8s for volatility purposes, but if we can get a big volatile day upside, fine, I'll take it. I don't care which direction, as long as we're moving. The ATR now sitting at, what is that, 34? Better. Not great, but definitely better than what we saw, Tuesday, Monday. Now, the 5-minute, I think, is probably the more important chart to look at right now. You see that those growing bull bars here, right? Growing bull bars closing increasingly off their highs and then shrinking, closing increasingly off their highs. It tells us buyers either stayed the same and sellers stepped in harder, or sellers remained the same and buyers stepped out getting nervous ahead of that 20,100 that we struggled with pre-market. Move that for you. I want to take something here, but there's just nothing lining up at this very moment. It'll come soon. Eric, imagine taking a short here and riding it all day. You know, there's just, as far as information that we're getting right now, the market doesn't seem to know what to think about 20K. But again, my ideal world, this thing would dump off to 19.5 today. I'm not so sure we're going to get spoiled like that here today. You know, on prop though, there's an issue with riding a trade like that all day. Unless you have either a beefed up static account or you have a regular like 50K, 150K, 300K account with a trailing drawdown with big padding. Unless you have one of those two scenarios, it's really tough to leave a trade on for hours because you almost always are going to run into that trailing drawdown issue if you're trading any kind of size. Again, prop firms, they're gonna favor scalping in the early stages, and then once you get that buffer, that is when you get the luxury to really add into winners and stop out at break even, go heavy. But really, that's when accounts are a lot more mature, if you even trade that style to begin with. You know, there's a lot of options to go. In order to get there, you're having to leave money in the prop. And I think people probably leave a little bit too much in their prop accounts, and then they usually end up blowing up. It's like that wasn't really quote-unquote house money. That's an entire fallacy. It's your money. You can pull it out at any moment. See this wicking back and forth here. Market's trying to make a decision. Okay, well here we are. We're coming in. You guys see how those 20 EMAs lining up pretty much with each other on the 5-minute and the 2-minute. Beefs up the importance a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's still just an EMA. The price action is king. However, if we do see this bar closing, which it will close here in about 60 seconds, near its low, at least on the, yeah, it'll close in 60 seconds here on both charts. Then I'm interested in entering on a short on the rollover. We'll see if we get that. big old wick. Those buyers just aren't ready to quit yet today here. Well, I am interested. I'm not totally against shorting the retest of the previous bar's close on the, well, I guess both charts. Previous idea also still stands here for me. But now just on the 2-minute chart for the previous idea. Buyers just won't quit, man. You start getting these big wicks heading back up toward the 20. They're really trying to hold. It says a lot about balance here. Where's the retake of the previous bar? You get those reversal wicks on the 2-minute top right of your screen. Those bulls are convinced that 20 EMA on both charts is going to hold. I'm not convinced until we see at least another third touch point on this new ascending channel. Until that occurs, I can't buy that yet. However, I am interested. You guys see we have probably, you could argue honestly, 3 touch points kind of in this region here. That argument could absolutely be made. Pretty aggressive. Not against that. Not against that short. If we had a test on not too strong of bull bars, very important. Price action has to align with the range, the channel, if we see that stay respected. Now this region here, I know some of you guys are probably looking at this. This to me is a horizontal top We go back to here, right? This region, kind of a horizontal top. Risk of breakout there is far more than the typical 20%. Like 80% of breakouts fail in clean ascending or descending channels. Flat tops, it's much higher than 20%. So shorting right ahead of that, for me, is not a good idea. It's just not enough. It's not good enough. All right, I'll be back in 2 minutes. All right, here we are, flat top. Flat top's getting more and more relevant as we go here. forming that channel. This channel is getting more and more interesting. This little ascending channel that we're seeing. Really what I'm looking at here is kind of this, and then this flat top, which if we break will is not unlikely to push us to the top of that range. By the way, trading some Apex funded accounts today, trading some Take Profit Pro accounts. Apex is still 80% off until midnight on the 31st. If you want to take advantage of that, it's probably time to get going here. Use code BIG. Best deal always. All right, coming to the bottom here of this channel, I am interested in taking a little long if the price action supports it near the bottom of this range. Kind of around that 20 on the 2, but more like the 20 on the 5, which is slightly lower, but pretty much in the same region. Yeah, not quite. Testing that bottom of the channel here. Let's see if we get a little bit of a bounce toward the bottom of this channel. Not really. I mean, there is arguably 3 touch points now, but we're kind of right now trying to form that 3rd touch point here. Sitting a little in the money. Let's see if this works out. Really looking kind of target right ahead 20,100. Kind of reliant on that flat top breaking a little bit, pushing a little bit of liquidity, and the bottom side of this ascending channel holding up here. See if that does hold up. Giving it a little bit of room here, not tight. What do you use to log your trades? I've tried just about all of them and none are perfect using Trader Sync now. So I've always used Trader View, though admittedly Trader View is, that's, you know, Trader VUE is what I've always used. There's no affiliation, I just pay for it. Admittedly, they are better for stocks, like importing from a broker like Lightspeed or like Centerpoint. That is where they shine. As far as logging futures, you can still do it on TraderView. It is a little more sloppy in my opinion. But the futures desk has a very good, it's just built right in, logs your trades directly. As far as like logging your Apex stuff, TraderView is kind of the best I've found, though it's definitely not perfect. All right, testing the bottom of this range here. Really the line I'm kind of looking at is right about there. Let's see if that ends up holding up. Jeremy, I see that you don't go for your small scalps anymore. That's not true. Is it because of the fees? The fees are definitely more when you're micro scalping. But I just trade what the market calls for. You can't. I have a lot of setups that I like to trade, and I will transition style with the market if it's necessary to do so. Trading the exact same way every single day is not going to work out well for you long term. I think you need to have at least 2 to 3 styles and adjust it for however you're trading, whether it's a personal account, prop account, static drawdown, trailing drawdown. But to answer your question, yeah, the fees definitely rack up more when you're scalping small, for sure. All right, getting to push up into the 2070s. Again, target sitting for me right ahead of 20,100. See if we can hit that. Really, that horizontal top here, this region here, that gets kind of dicey as far as trying to short off of that. Are you trading the options on futures? Nope, just the contracts. There's the push into the 20,090s. Coming into that kind of that flat top. Just need a small little break of that flat top. It's really all I need here. Small little push, not even through that much. But I don't trust those little flat tops, so see if we can get that. Coming into that flat top, test of 20,090. There we are. There's target. That worked out. And here's the test of 20,100. And there's the break. Beautiful. All right, coming into the top end of this channel. As far as where we sit here, this is where we sit on the day so far. It's 1,200 bucks. Obviously not including the sim leader. It's just the leader. I know some of you guys are going to try to say some shit. PA accounts, take profit pros. That's what we're trading today. Nothing crazy. Up 1200. Let's see what else we can find. I really am interested in the top end of this channel here. That's kind of what I have my eye on here. Let's do this and extend this out. But that calls for kind of a test of 20,150, maybe 155. And if we get a quick upside move with some strong looking bull bars, I don't want to step ahead of that just in favor of a trend line, because at the end of the day, price action is going to be king. All right. Yeah, Gary, good catch. It does. It lines up kind of with pre-market high. It's close. So when you end up seeing a breakthrough there, usually it ends up adding a little bit of liquidity and can sometimes push you temporarily a little higher, maybe 5-10 points. Depending on how many stops are sitting up there, how many stop limit buy orders are sitting up there. This chart gives you a little different look. This is the 2 minute, by the way. But you know, listen, guys. When you're trading here, let's look at this chart. When you're trading a channel like this, a range, you want to get in the mindset on the day. Okay, is today a range day or is today a trend day? That's going to determine whether you're going with the trend or whether or not you can justify going counter trend within a range. But let's say, which is, by the way, the easier trade here would be to buy the bottom end of that range. But if you get a test of the top end, it's a more aggressive trade. However, if you're trading more aggressively, it can still work fine. But this is really crucial. If you're trying to short top ends of ranges in an ascending range or an ascending channel, if the closing bar on the test of the line looks like this, or the range where the line is, looks like this, you get a growing bull bar closing near its high, all of a sudden you're going counter price action. Which, again, like I say, price action is always going to be king. So if you're going to short the top end of an ascending channel, you want the test to not be on very strong bull bars like this. Okay, ideally it'd be more on a bar like this, where you get that rollover and then it's kind of weak. Okay, or on, you know, some chop like through here or something. Jumpin'. What's the difference between a contract and an option? Okay, so let's first talk about stocks. It's easier. The stock is the actual security. Okay, the option is a leveraged derivative of the security. Now, if you think about that in terms of futures, the futures contract is the primary security, and the options on it are going to be derivatives of the security itself. It's a little weirder, I think, with futures because the contract itself is already like a leveraged product. But if you talk about, you know, stock on margin, that's leveraged as well, and you still have options on it, so that's the easiest way to think about it. All right, this ascending, you know, on the 5 minute too, it looks clean, but especially on the 2 minute, this little ascending channel seems to kind of be the current story. So that's really what I'm watching. Again, controlled movement into the top of that would be a short for me, if it's controlled. And then obviously a test of the downside. Controlled, but doesn't have to be nearly as controlled, I suppose, but still not a massive bear bar closing at a low. A test of the downside would be a long. Just trading within the channel here. It's a little bit of a wider channel, about 125 points-ish. ATR currently is sitting at about 30, 31. Not the end of the world, but, you know, not great. But definitely at this time of day, higher than what we've been seeing, so can't complain. I seem to have this problem a lot. You guys ever have a problem with Take Profit Trader where it disconnects from Ninja? I seem to have that like once a day. I'll look up and all of a sudden the Take Profit accounts will be disconnected. I don't have that issue with Apex. And it's not a copy trader thing. It's not because it goes out of sync. It just disconnects randomly from Ninja Trader. It's plugged in with Tradeovate. Maybe that's the issue. Whereas on the Apex, I'm using Rhythmic primarily. It's not the end of the world, just inconvenient. Any idea how to fix my fear of entering a trade? I seem to have a trust issue with my trading style. Yeah, I have a lot of ideas. Trade smaller and trade more, but only take your A setups. Usually people end up missing most of their A setups, and that's just gonna be the case. You're not gonna take 100% of your A setups even 20 years down the road. You're gonna miss quite a few trades. But you want to take all of them that you see. You know, I commonly say there's no such thing as overtrading if you have edge, but when you don't know what your edge is, you can overtrade, but I think if you're trading small enough, trade 1 micro. Hell, who cares? You're gonna have people come out that say, oh, you know, you're only a cool trader if you trade the minis. What the hell does that even mean? There's so much money to be made in micros. And most of the people who are trading minis just blow up PA accounts day after day and never get anywhere. Because they're trying to recreate something they saw on YouTube. Trade smaller and trade more, but only take good setups. Which probably means more screen time, but hey, screen time is what's gonna get you there. The whole dream of I want to day trade for, you know, 25 minutes a day and make 18 million a year. Come on, man. This is a profession like anything else. This is difficult. There's competition. You want to make 18 million a year, you're gonna have to put in some screen time, especially in the early years. Have you ever had the issue where you take an impulsive trade, it loses, and then spirals your whole day out of control? I've done that so many times over the years, it's not even funny. Eventually, you just get sick of doing that, and the impulsiveness fades. It's okay, everyone's done it a million times. Here we are. So you look at the, here, look at like the 2 minute. We're getting a test of that upside, but it's strong movement, right? You're getting some kind of growing bull bars, but 3 in a row closing, you know, if this one closes near its high, then closing near its high. So is that a short I really want to enter when we're seeing strong price action, which in my head is tier 1, whereas a trend line is kind of like a tier 1.5, 2? No, probably not, right? So you have to see how this bar closes. But yeah, have I done that? Of course. I used to do that a lot, actually. Guys, I think everyone thinks that they make a mistake and they're the only one who does it and they feel really awful about themselves. Listen, we're all wired extremely similar. We're all human. We're different, but at the end of the day, we're very similar to each other. Every mistake that you have made in your trading, it's highly probable that I've made it about 10 or 15 times, if not more. You're absolutely not alone. Okay, we're getting a big old wick. That's slowing down the price action a little bit. What I should do here is extend this out. There we go, it's a little cleaner. Just draw the trend line, don't overthink it, it's a range. Just draw it how you think most people would draw it. That right there is how most people are gonna draw that trend line. Let's see if we can get another test here. Mr. Personality just dropped probably the hardest quote of the day. It's very true. So slowing down on this upside move, which is good, because if we're gonna, look to short the top end of that trend line, I can't do it in a strong upside movement. You have to see some sellers stepping in or some buyers stepping out or both. If you guys haven't yet, hit the like on the stream. It helps out tremendously. Seriously, you have no idea. It's a very touchy thing. It really is helpful, just one person doing it. Yeah, futures trader 79. You got wicked. Here's a test for you. There you go. Hit out. You ever draw trend lines off of the bodies instead of off the wicks? I feel like the wicks are indicative of that area being rejected. I do both, by the way. I typically go off the wicks. Just because I think that's how most people are going to look at it. I don't really believe in like this big secret. I just think it's all a self-fulfilling prophecy. The algorithms are a lot of the volume in the market, in the futures market especially, but they're just programmed by people to do what it thinks people are going to do. So it all comes down to human psychology. So I just draw it how I think most people would see it, and therefore how the algorithms are programmed to try to see it. Because algorithms do look for patterns. It's a big part of what an intraday algorithm is meant to do. Alright, now we're getting price action slowing down, which is good. I would love to see a big ol' rejection and then a retest. And I'd short that sucker. if the price action is not too aggressive upside, because that's number one. Don't want to step ahead of that. Scuba Steve, a master has liked more videos than a novice has seen. Damn straight. Like the stream. So if you're just joining us, one trade so far today, we're up about 1,200 bucks, trying to see what else we can grab here. See how that rejection on the 2-minute here? Kind of a flat rejection, right? It's kind of a mushy rejection back downside. There's not a lot of movement there, and especially if you're going for anything more than like a 10-point target, that makes it kind of tough. That ATR is starting to collapse. You look at the range. The ATR hasn't caught up yet because it's still looking back to these bars, right? That 25 ATR, but the range on these bars, we're starting to get down toward below 20. That's what I don't like about upside bounces. Slow upside grindy moves don't light a fire enough. And when we need volatility, I'd much prefer a downside move, but we've got to trade what the market gives us. Like this little sideways movement here, this is chop. This is where death by 1,000 paper cuts really sets in for a lot of people. Correlation between the ES and the NQ. I have it right behind me. I turn around and check every once in a while, though they're very, very similar products. So I'm not like obsessively checking the correlation, no. All right, here we go. Some kind of definitive rejection here. That's good to see. At least start kind of moving within this channel here rather than just flattening out. There we go. Finally, a little bit of movement here. Little movement here. Now, if we look at the 2, what I'm kind of paying attention to, we extend this way out. All of a sudden, that requires a break of the 20 on the 2. But, you know, on this bar, you know, you move forward a little bit, most likely. Somewhere right below 20,100. Now, if we look at the 5, where does that put us here? Almost exactly a test of the 20 EMA on the 5. Something to think about. And again, in a little ascending channel, I'm definitely more willing to buy the bottom than I am to short the top, though I will do both. Okay, downside test. If something crazy happens, I'm gonna keep an eye on the chat. Let me know. Back in 2 minutes. Okay, now I could have sworn I said if something crazy happens, let me know in the chat. Why didn't no one say anything? A big move. All right, we should extend this out is really what we should do. And I'll draw it there. See if we can get some controlled price action into a test. It's a little aggressive here. A little aggressive here. If this 2-minute bar closes in about 40 seconds, if we see it close near the high on the test, I can't step ahead of that. What I really want is a wiki close, and then a little test on the rollover. You said if it's sold then retested, you'd short it. That is not. That is yes, and then you leave out conveniently that I said, if the price action looks exactly like this, then I gotta wait. I will not be peer pressured into taking shit trades. Absolutely not. Now watch, this one will drop 200 points. What I want here is a retest. Reset, I mean, that bull bar literally closed at the high. That was about a 50-50 trade right there. You could have easily just broke right through 22. Moody's with more headlines here today. What is up with Moody's? Moody's has been in a bad mood for about 5 years. Moody's edges closer to a US downgrade. The other day they were saying that we were going to have growth problems for the next like 5 years. Living up to their name. Now, the thing with rejections here is that if I'm looking for a 20-point, hell, a 30-point, 40-point target on a rejection, we're really only getting, I mean, here we're getting a substantial downside move and it's only 30 points. Right, I mean, I'm not going to tighten up my ratio to 5 points. Just get chopped up on the NQ. Now, on little negative reward to risk scalps, what I have done and what I will do is maybe run, you know, within a channel, you can run a 15, 20-point stop, take things off at 5, 7, 10 points. With prop, you start running into reward to risk potential trouble. Like the minimum reward to risk you can run, or I'm sorry, the maximum risk reward you can run is 5-1 with Apex. And if you start getting close to that, I think you're kind of running that line of risking payout denials, which obviously we don't want. Now, I'll just throw this out there. You could absolutely make the argument now that we're looking at something potentially like this. Or I draw it like this. And all of a sudden now you have an aggressive ascending wedge that is not unlikely to break upside. For me right now, we don't have a lot of information. That's not really enough. But if that plays out, then remember what we talked about there. Take Profit Trader, don't have to worry about any of that. I tried Apex, could never get a payout. I take daily payouts now. Take Profit Trader is a wonderful firm. I'm trading 2 of their pro accounts right now. Great firm. I love their rules. A lot of people don't like the fact that, you know, the drawdown switches to trailing once you get in the pro accounts. But I mean, I don't necessarily see it as a negative that they make it a little bit easier to pass. But they really are, I think they're all good for different things. Apex is good for going, I think, big. You can go, you know, max out 20 accounts. They're just different business models. And I think the right business model is probably a mix of all of them. But you can use the same code BIG at Take Profit Trader for the best deal all the time. You don't have to even check the deal. You just enter BIG. It'll give you the best one that's available. But I like Take Profit Trader. Good firm. It's just something to think about here, guys. You know, these rejections. I want a shorter retest. But even if you top tick this baby, you're looking at what? A 28-point pullback? If you got it absolutely perfect, which we never will. I mean, I don't know. 28 points. You're looking at best case scenario, you're maybe pulling out 20 points. Is it worth going counter trend? Now, you could, of course, tighten everything up, trade a little bigger size. But in this market, with the tighter volatility and the risk for big outsized bars, like we saw earlier, you guys remember this bar here? Random big outsized bar, 854, really no headline, at least not much of one. Here we go. Bit of a pullback. I'd love to see a pullback into like 2150 and then a retest higher on weak price action. That would be beautiful. Or if we can get a downside test of this channel with the right price action, that's a long entry for me. Whichever comes first, really, here. About a 30-point pullback. Not bad. ATR now is sitting at about 23.25. It's fading as we get these newer updated bars averaged in, but you look at the range on these newer bars, guys. I mean, goodness, 18. Definitely still below average, you know? ATR, average true range. So that teal flag is going to be the average range, meaning how many points of movement did you get out of the last 10 2-minute bars. And then the yellow flag is the range, the running range of the current bar compared to that average. Just tells you about volatility. It's the 5 minute here. Something to look at. You know, those mushy rejections, 20, 30 points. You look at the 5 minute, and am I a huge fan of going counter trend just to get maybe 20, 30 points? No, I'm not, which is why I'd love to see these rejections turn more into 50 points. It starts to justify entering counter trend on a controlled move into resistance, on an ascending resistance. But I mean, again, buying that ascending support is just, hate to use the word easy, it's just easier. It's just a better trade. But if it doesn't give it to you, it doesn't give it to you, you know? When you're copy trading, do you like to start them all together? I got 2 fresh PAs up ready. Plan is for 5 though. Hold off on the 2. I mean, my opinion is why? Why hold off? Depends on your business plan, right? You guys, if you're gonna trade prop, take 3 minutes, write out a business plan. Okay, over the next year, here's what I'm willing to invest. Some of that can come from payouts, by the way, if you're able to get some. Here's what I'm looking to generate in terms of revenue. Here's my return on my capital. Okay, on average, over the course of the next 12 months, when I average it all out, how long do I want to hold on to my average PA? Do I want to be very aggressive? And maybe I blow up PAs every 2 to 3 weeks? Or do you want to be a little bit more conservative and hold on to your PAs and maybe only go through 2 sets the entire year? Write out those things. That's going to help you determine a lot. But as far as waiting for you to have like a full set, I mean, that's up to you, but for me, it's like, why wait? We only have so much time, right? Eric, do you ever switch to the 1 minute in faster markets? Sure. Sure, but I definitely prefer the 2 and the 5 on futures. I trade the 1 minute pre-market momentum stocks. All right, here we go. Testing that 20 EMA on the 2 minute. Again, you look here, that trend line is still well below there. Extend that out a bit. It was a bit better of a pullback that we were after. See if we get a downside test of this trend line, though. Just trading off this 20, there's not a whole lot of edge there on the 2 minute chart especially. It's just not heavily watched enough. The 20 EMA on the 2 minute is it relevant? Yeah. That's why I have it on there for context. Is it a tradable level? No, I don't think really any EMA is enough. But some are going to be more relevant than others. Like the 20 on the 5 is going to be a little bit better than the 20 on the 2, right? See if we can get an upside retest here. As that range expands, now you're looking for more volatility. That can actually help. We have that the range on this bar sitting at about 31. See if we can get that ATR creeping upside. Controlled downside break of the 20 and then a test of that little ascending trend line. Not a bad setup. Okay, so now you guys have me curious. As far as your favorite prop, they're all good for, I think, like different use cases. So what's your favorite firm? Because I know just had a take profit disconnect again. Just fixed itself. So because I know that a lot of you guys are using Apex, a lot of you guys are taking take profit. Two of my favorite. There's a lot of firms out there. I'm curious what you guys are all running. My funded futures is probably the best beginner-friendly prop out there. Do you trust the EMAs more if, say, a 10 on the 2-minute coincides with the 20 on the 5-minute? I use Top Step, by the way. Kevin, the more things that line up, as long as they're relevant somewhat on their own, then the more, I think, the more importance it carries. But EMAs on their own, in my head, are just never good enough to take trades off of by themselves. Ideally, you would have, like in a perfect world, you'd have a clean 3+ point trend line lining up with every EMA in the world. That's how I think about it. Bolonox, Top Step, Futures Desk, yeah. Yeah, Tradeify, they have the straight to sim funded, which is a cool idea. Well, that upside trend line currently, just the most obvious way to draw it, which is how you guys know I like to draw it. Currently sitting at about 20,128-ish, 20,130. Let's see if we can get a test of that and see how the price action reacts around that region. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of Tradeify, Apex, Take Profit, Futures Desk, Bolonox. Top step. I mean, yeah, I think when I really look around, I have thoughts on 3. Or at least a lot of thoughts on 3. A lot of people don't like Apex. I love Apex. Apex has always treated me well. And I think Apex is great for really just scaling per account. Or sorry, scaling out the accounts and keeping the per account within reason. I think take profit is wonderful if you just want to not, maybe scale per account. Daily payouts is great. Their plugin seems to work very well with Ninja, Tradeovate. I like take profit a lot. It's kind of more like reminiscent of a live account. And the futures desk, the technology they're running over there as far as trade tracking is fantastic. I think the futures desk is great if you're looking to scale out, but probably if you're already a little bit more serious and you're willing to be more patient. Because those evals definitely take time to pass. Which I think they are working on trying to make a little bit better. Which I think if they did, then they, things start looking really, really up for them. Because listen, their technology at Futures Desk, once you get in the portal, it tracks all your data live, which I've never seen before. It's just the rules are a little tight, and I've said that to them. I think they're a little bit tight. I'm not a big fan of I mean, you guys know with how outspoken I am on PDT, I'm not a huge fan of trying to protect people from themselves. I think give people the tools to do what they want, but try to educate them to the best of your ability so that they can make their own decisions. I think putting rules in place to try to stop people from doing dumb things is probably not the best way to go. And PDT, I hate PDT. My opinion on PDT is very outspoken, which is similar, right? But yeah, the journaling and the tech in the Futures Desk portal is unmatched. Truly. But, if we're being, honestly, guys, if we're being straight up, I know, hang on. Are we good on the stream? Chat, is it good? I'm getting an error out of YouTube. Are we okay? All good? Okay. As far as if you're someone who's like, listen, I know what I'm doing. I'm a pretty good trader. And I just want to see if I can make a lot of money quickly. But you're probably going to go through some evals. Maybe you're going to blow some PA accounts. If that's your goal, just to try to make as much as you can and you have a decent amount of money to invest as fast as possible and you're a good trader, Apex is probably the way to go. Because as far as, okay, which firm lets you make as much money as possible quickly? I mean, there's really no comparison. Apex lets you go to 20 accounts. I mean, I don't really think there's a comparison on that end. As far as consistent payouts, you're probably looking more at like a Futures Desk or Take Profit Trader as your best bet. Okay, but let's be honest. Straight out of the gate, the payouts they're going to be smaller. But you can take them daily once you get to live. It's also going to take longer to get into the funded account. It's just different business models. It doesn't make one better. It's just, what's your use case? If you're looking for consistency, Take Profit Trader, great option. Futures Desk, great option. But if you're looking to just like start off and be like, okay, which firm can I maybe go the biggest on? Potentially at the sacrifice of maybe a little bit of consistency, then, I mean, there's really no match to Apex, I don't think. Okay, here we are getting a downside test, but now we're in this flat land region. Look at this. This kind of flat bottom. If we see a break, it could push us right through here, so this test is a big deal. Oh, there's the test. John, I have issues with the intraday drawdown, just something else I have to monitor amongst everything else. Usually, if you have a lot of issues with intraday drawdown, like the trailing drawdown, a lot of times that's going to come from two things: trading too big and having targets that are too big for the volatility. If you're trying to bet on breakouts in a trading range that you're not seeing, especially if you're trading big, you're going to have problems with drawdown, right? Because you're betting on a breakout that's only going to happen 20% of the time that it attempts to break out. So I think best way to deal with drawdown, trade a little smaller. And if you have big targets, like 80-point targets, tighten it up a little bit. And make sure that when you enter, there's enough room before you run into something obvious like the outskirts of a channel. There's no secret to drawdown. That's the secret right there. You're going to have some trades that get within a few points of your target, turn around, stop you out. That doesn't make you a bad trader. It's just part of the game. And what people seem to forget is you're also going to have trades that get within a few points of your stop loss, turn around, hit take profit. But no one wants to talk about that because it worked out in your favor. Here's the test of that trend line. This here is a big deal. The next couple of 2-minute bars are going to be pretty, I think, representative of, hey, do we end up holding on to this channel? Like, look at the 5-minute. Holding on to this ascending channel, or are we looking at a reversal here, heading downside back into the 19s? Really stick into that 20. Look at that. Well, you know what? I'm really enjoying these streams. This is a daily thing. I'm going to keep hitting it at 8:15, starting 8:15 a.m. Central Time every morning. And I'll keep going. I think we've maxed out at like 250. I'd like to get that to 1,000 of you guys watching. So hit the like. That helps out a lot. When you guys start hitting the like button, all of a sudden that starts going up. And I appreciate it. Well, flat right now. You guys see we're sticking to that 20. You're on the 2-minute. These flat little channels that we've seen now here for the last 10-15 minutes, these have a high probability of breakout. And to be honest with you guys, when we see something like this, all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, but typically it's about a 50-50 probability. It's very difficult to predict the direction of breakout when you don't have a lot around it like this. Now, in this case, we do have that trend line toward the bottom, but we're also sticking right to that 20. Okay, in an ascending wedge. This is a tough situation. Nico, what about the downtrend on the pullback? Do you mean that short-lived downtrend in like the last 40 minutes? 30 minutes? I'm just not sure I can call that a downtrend. I would call this more of an overarching bull trend, if you look at the last hour and a half. I think that's a little zoomed in, Liberty. To be honest with you, it's a little tight as well. At least for my style. If you're like a micro scalper, then ignore me. But today I'm not micro scalping. I'm looking more for a little bit wider, just due to the volatility that we've seen in the market last couple of days, last week. This is tight. This is tight. This is going to break probably relatively hard one way or the other. Now, when I say hard, remember ATR is 20. So, 100-point move, I wish. Maybe not that much. What's up, TJP? We're just waiting for this channel to break, man. Mo, hey Nico, what's up, bro? 3 losses, 1 win, break even on the day. We'll call it a day. Good reward to risk there, if those are your stats for the day. Not a bad idea to walk away. As for me, I'm waiting for something to present 55-45 probability. 1 trade so far today, up 1,200 bucks. See what else we can get. Yeah, I mean, listen, best case scenario, I think for all of us, as far as active traders are concerned, if you're an investor, then ignore this. Best case scenario for all of us would be if this baby fell to about 19,700 from here. I mean, that would be beautiful. That would set us up nice for hopefully some additional volatility here tomorrow, which is really what we need. I mean, this sideways garbage is a death sentence. If you're trading it. If you're sitting on your hands, it's part of the job. All right, here's the big test. What do you guys think? Now remember, on the 5-minute, you have the 20 right ahead of there. Okay, there are going to be people watching that, so you're probably going to have a little bit of buying pressure right ahead of that 20. Let's see if the sellers can push it through. There we go. There's the test through the 20 on the 5. Let's see if we can hold that break. Now, I am interested in a short side move here if we can see. We still have 90 seconds on this bar, but if we can see this bar grow a little bit and close near the low, I'm interested in selling the rollover. Keep in mind, we're right around that break-even point on the day. Not P&L-wise, we're green on the day as far as the Nasdaq, right? Trying to go red here on the day. You see this point where it tries to go red to green or green to red, like in this case? This, when it's low volatility, this part of the day is always very frustrating to me. Because the market always just hangs up around that 0% region for some time. And it's just kind of infuriating because it's like, this isn't, when we have real volatility, this isn't usually that big of a deal. This does have me interested. I'm getting short. See if we can't get a push down through that 20,100. There's the little test. Can't really expect volatility to just explode, but let's see what we can get. There we go. Bit of a sustained move. Kind of looking down toward about 20,070. That's kind of the region I'm looking at here. I mean, if we look, there's really not a lot between now and then. So well, there's the test of 90. A little bit of weakening here in those bear bars. Still looking down toward 20,070 region. There's just not a lot between now and then. So it would surprise me a little bit if we saw a whole bunch of buyers step in and take this way back upside. Little attempt at a reversal. You guys see these consecutive dojis? These little bottom wicks. Bulls are trying to prop it up. I'm just not really convinced yet. Still kind of looking down toward 20,070-ish. It was the break of the 90s. Kind of a slow grind. Well, here's the test of 80. Target at 20,069. See if we can hit that. Working through the 70s here. Still a quick break of 70s here is kind of target for me. There we are. Target there. So that'll add another, here I'll show you. That'll add another, what, 1,200 bucks on? So we are now sitting, that's how we sit. Across the accounts we're trading today, the funded accounts, by the way, none of these are evals. That puts us up 2,400. Let's see what else we can find. The market gives us something here. A little under 2,400. Yeah, maybe like, well, close to 2,400. You know what it always feels like? I don't know if you guys are in the same boat. It always feels like this. It always feels like it'll grind, and this is totally a fallacy. I understand that. It always feels like the market, especially with futures, will grind its way slowly to your target. It'll like wick you and then barely take you out, and then all of a sudden it moves 10 points immediately after you get out. It always feels that way. Total fallacy, but that's one of those things I think that kind of messes with a lot of people's psychology. Just get your piece, stick to your original plan, and move on. Don't let that mess with your head. We all kind of feel that way. All right, well, let's see if this sets up for a third trade of the day. I'll be back in 2. All right, well, this setup here has not really changed. Joey Ray here, brother. See if we can get the bottom falling out. Again, I would love to see this market. I'm a sicko. Go down to 19.7. That would be beautiful. Get some volatility going here. Because right now, that ATR is sitting at 20, 21, 22. There we go. There's a little push. What's up? Did we get a test of 20K? I'd love to see that. I would love to see a test of 20. See, this gets really tight, guys. You look at this. This channel here on the 2-minute. I mean, you're looking at maybe 20 points wide. It's tough to trade a channel that's that tight, especially when we're talking about breakout potential, because the breakout likelihood here is high. It's higher than the average of, 80% of breakouts are going to fail. That percentage of failed breakouts is going to be lower. It's just so tight, just asking for a breakout in this hard downtrend. So really what I'm kind of interested in here is a potential test of 20K, if we can see that. Are you guys in a position right now? I'm curious if you guys are riding this down. I know some of you guys have got to be sitting short right now. Caught my piece, but I'm flat currently. Yeah, Eric's short. Flat was changing to my Apex evals. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll, I don't know yet. Maybe I'll do some evals this afternoon and just beef it up. Peter, up 1,500 on the day, bought off that top gap closure, done for the day. Good work. Good work. Volatility here is, honestly, guys, I can't complain too much. The ATR is not awful compared to what we saw like Monday, Tuesday, but it's not great. But I mean, listen, if you were ever going to trade some Apex evals, now is the time. This ends in a few days. And you're probably going to want at least a few days to try to get through those, take advantage of it. You probably don't want to wait till the last minute. So use code BIG, baby. Best deal always. Not just today, always. Don't even have to think about it. Yeah, here in this region, if you You say, well, I'm going to buy the rollover of that bull bar. Well, it's the first bull bar, and you're going counter trend. But if you're shorting here, you're going against that bull bar. This is a 51.49 scenario, which means I hold off. I'm not convinced we're done with 20K here. I think this market really wants to see 20K again. The way that we really bounced around that $20,000 region, we kind of tap danced into the high 19s and made our way back up. I would love to see a breakdown back into the mid 19,000s. Not necessarily all today, obviously, though that would be a big deal. In that wake, market doesn't know where to take itself. So, you know, I've gotten some questions about probabilities at certain times of a setup, right? Here's a good example. Anyone buying long right now? Now, you should ask yourself, do you know the answer to what I'm about to say? If you're buying long right now, the probability, based on the information we have from the market, the probability is what? It's quite low, right? You're going counter trend, you're buying off limited information, but the reward to risk is inflated. If you're right, which is a big if, you can make a lot compared to your risk. Now, kind of the opposite is true here for shorting, depending on time frame. If you're going to get short here, the probability is a bit higher than getting long just based on the information we have. But the risk is also higher. Reward is potentially smaller. It's just a spectrum. It changes all day long. Okay, just do your best to recognize it and understand that just because the probability is higher doesn't make it 100%. It makes it maybe 53 to 60 tops. In my head, I'm really thinking 20K. It's just a matter of getting a quality entry here. Hey, Dylan, appreciate you, brother. Stick around, lot to come. This is a daily occurrence here, 8:15 a.m. Central. So you could argue here on the 2-minute, you could argue that we're kind of flattening out. And as that bottom becomes more of a flat horizontal level, I would argue that breakout potential increases. Or breakout risk, if you're looking to buy that, increases. So let's see if we get a big old breakout here. I'd love to see it. There's the test of 2050. There's a few stops getting triggered, not a lot. This low is a little short-lived, less than 10 minutes. Not a ton of liquidity, a couple points of push. But those are going to be longs getting stopped. Maybe a couple shorts entering with stop limit buys. Or, I'm sorry, stop limit sells. But not a lot of liquidity. Maybe a 3-point push, 3.5-point push off that move. Well, kind of a slow, grindy break here. I'm still looking at 20. It's just as far as entries, nothing great. What I'm kind of looking at here on the 2-minute, look at this, is kind of this. That's really what I'm looking at. You have the 20 as a little bit of protection backside for a potential short entry if the price action allows. Little breakdowns here. You guys would see me trade that on a typical day pretty often. However, that ATR sitting at 20, it's kind of a tall order to ask for the market to make big breakouts when the range is that tight. Really want to see that retest. right, guys. Well, listen, that's what I'm going to pay attention to. We're up 2 trades, 2 for 2 on the day so far. I'm going to keep looking here and see if there's anything else to catch. See if volatility picks up. Up 2,400 across 2 Take Profit Pro accounts that we traded today. 6 funded Apex accounts, at both of which, by the way, anytime, no matter what, you can use code BIG at Take Profit Trader and at Apex Trader Funding. It'll give you the best deal available right now. Apex, 80% off, single day pass. Use code BIG. All right, guys, listen. Hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you tomorrow morning, 8:15 a.m. Central.